Hey guys, Tarot by Test here, coming to you, Pisceans, with your 17 reading. I did a Celtic cross spread for you. On the bottom of the primary, we have Seven of Pentacles reversed. And this is, well, let's talk about hesitating, and the kind of hesitation that brings about regret. And you're not confronting something, but your advice is to confront something head on, okay? And this lack of confrontation, this hesitation, possibly due to anxiety or you're just careless about it, it's not really your priority. Well, not focusing on it, well, it's just a lack of spiritual growth, and you'd end up regretting not doing this. This could also be a bad investment, being afraid of failure. And if you're really worried about something, you don't have any reason to be, at least not at this point in time. But this mostly shows just there's like a lack of introspection, okay? And usually about spiritual things. And it's almost as if you're kind of robbing yourself of that. I also see just not questioning your lifestyles, not questioning your choices, not questioning your relationship. And I think you're pessimistic because your relationship is not growing, whether it's with God or with a person. You're a little checked out, like you don't think it's worth the investment. You don't really have any hope or reassurance. On the bottom of the clarification deck, we have the High Priestess, which is your intuition. This is also spiritual knowledge, secrets being held, just information that's not known to everyone. Okay, so let's get started with your reading. Your situation is Eight of Wands reversed. Eight of Wands to me is normally a very quick message, also spiritual insight, and that's blocked for you right now. So you're not getting a message, your spiritual insight's not there, possibly due to not investing in it. And for a relationship, it's the passion's gone. And don't expect to get any kind of messages from anyone anytime in the near future. Crossing you is Judgment, okay? And when I say Judgment and the Eight of Wands together, I think music. The Eight of Wands is reversed, and Judgment could be reversed. It depends. So I see not facing the music. So you're not really willing to confront something. So we have some of that information. Also, High Priestess means withdrawn. So you don't think it's best to act at this time. There's a lot of indecision and passivity in here. It looks like you will be making a decision at some point because you realize what needs to happen. And also, it's kind of funny. Eight of Wands in some decks is called the Judgment of Communication card. And then it's crossed by Judgment. So it's like you're not communicating with somebody, or somebody's not communicating with you, and it's needed to have a spiritual rebirth. I also see like it's crunch time in order to solve something, like days or weeks, okay, possibly 8 days, 8 weeks. And whatever thought or insight you may have received in the past, it's like it hasn't been acted on, so you can't get that spiritual rebirth you needed. So the advice here would be take action on some kind of thought that you've had, whether it's a relationship or spiritually. I also see some of you, are trying to prevent a message from getting out. And like you are really trying to make sure it doesn't come out. And this would be like the message coming to life, like something from the past that you thought was dead is coming out and you're trying to prevent it. Somebody's calling it out. Now with Judgment, this tells me that you need to embrace what you've done, okay? That means you can't cover it up. And in combination with the Eight of Wands, it looks like you're trying to, or somebody else is, but this is usually your situation. This also says let go of regret. Just accept what you've done. You can't change anything. And then you need to have an awakening. You need to see the past in a different way. It could also be somebody from the past is coming in and they're going to, help with something. They help with being reborn, some kind of healing or closure. We do have this healing kind of symbol that we're used to seeing with Red Cross. Somebody try to resurrect something that needs to stay dead or hidden, okay? And I think you're trying to prevent it somehow. I mean, as on a literal level, somebody could be trying to exhume a body and you don't want it to happen. That's very literal, and that would be for very few of you people. This is also telling you need to let go of a person, let go of a secret, because it's impeding your ability to heal, move on, your spiritual growth. Just don't hold on to something that's expired. Because this is moving energy and this is not. So we have like 2 cards about dead things and trying to resurrect it. And then again, talk about not facing the music. All right, let's move to your situation. What brought this about? Ten of Pentacles reversed. Ten of Pentacles is usually about family. You're trying to protect your family, your house, your money, your inheritance perhaps. Okay. So it looks like I see kind of like 2 bad investments, or you weren't really watching some kind of money issues, so you're worried about money and you may lose money. And we do have the Death card, so it does look like an inheritance. Okay, so maybe somebody, yeah, okay. Pisces, you got this before. It just reminded me. It's something about a secret coming out having to do with an inheritance or a will, somebody passing. And it's basically saying, just forget it. Okay, it's the past. You can't change it. And it's hindering you from moving on. And it could have to do with some kind of inheritance. Whether it's just information that you inherited, which seems more likely with the High Priestess. I don't see it so much as with money because there's some Pentacle cards, but that we have a whole slew of things. And I mostly see information going on here. So some kind of information that leads or that comes from somebody passing. And again, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, I see you're feeling very guilty or ashamed about something. And remember, this is saying, you can't change the past actions. Just accept it as a part of something that you've done, part of yourself, and then just move on because, no use crying over spilled milk kind of a thing. And also, I see this is your chance to change. It could be about a fatality, somebody having died, especially with Judgment here. And I think this is the burden you've been carrying. It's just this guilt or shame. And if you're in a relationship that, not necessarily family-wise, but it could be, because it's also like the ultimate relationship. So whether it's a familial relationship or a romantic relationship, it's restricting you, your self-expression, whoever you are. And remember, your need to grow and be reborn. And so you're very stagnant. It's as if you're dead. With this card in reverse and with Two of Pentacles, I see robbery. Now, because Two of Pentacles is reversed. And it's also because of the Seven of Pentacles as well. So however robbery has to do with it. Maybe you feel like somebody's taken your portion of the inheritance. Or maybe you've taken somebody else's inheritance. Maybe even in a very extreme case, could have robbed somebody and they ended up dying. I mean, there's lots of things that this could be. So you would have to judge the situation for yourself. But that's what's led to this situation, like the not facing the music, not wanting something to come out, and also just not being able to face something that's happened. And it has to do with some kind of information, some kind of a secret. And it could also be religious too. All right, in your past, you have Two of Swords reversed. So I see somebody who's false, somebody who's disloyal. You've been caught between something. I think almost like you're of two minds, okay? Also with, the High Priestess and just this card in general, this is passivity, holding back. And you have the Magician twice in here. And this is going to be you, okay? Because the Hangman is in your position of describing you. And so over here, when I see the Magician again, I know that this is you. And that way I don't have to guess, is this you or somebody else? Now, keep in mind, energies can be switched, but the reading says that this is you, okay? That's a little cat. I haven't named him yet. If you have a name, let me know. It's a boy. He's gray and white with gray eyes. Okay, so Two of Swords reversed and the Magician together tell me that, I'm trying to see how to say this nicely. Well, your indecision is preventing manifestations, but also you being the Magician, you're manipulating something. It might not be a person. It could just be information, okay, like withholding information, because the High Priestess will only give information when it's relevant or needed. And it looks like the information is from the past, it's not needed, it's dead. Somebody trying to resurrect it, and you're trying to keep it from being seen. So I see you're manipulating, because we have, on the other side of the sword, we have Magician. So that's how I know it's just talking about that. You're manipulating by withholding, okay? It's almost like it's a little bit passive aggressive, okay? But it may not necessarily be for a game. It could just be you don't want the information known. You don't think it's going to help anything. In fact, it might hurt you more than anything else. Okay. On the other side of the Two of Swords, we have Nine of Pentacles. This is usually a female, usually self-sufficient, but it is a general reading. I get the Death card later, so just bringing up that this is the end of an investment. Okay, the end of luxury. It's kind of funny we see that because we also have Seven of Pentacles reversed, which is bad investment. So it could just be the investment's over. I could see you no longer investing in possibly anything related to the family or a relationship, just not being invested anymore. This is the single card, so I see you're going to be single, or that's something you were, weighing previously. And you have been withholding all this stuff from a partner, all these things that you've been thinking. And you finally took action, okay, or you plan to take action, because the Magician is an action card. But your action is to withhold. And then here, this is single, being self-sufficient, making it on your own. And the Magician is a very capable card, doing things on his own. He doesn't actually need anybody. He can manifest anything he wants. And that's what you were of two minds about, even though it's pretty much the same thing. Which means a completion. A cycle has been completed. And you weren't really making a decision. You were trying to decide to make a decision or not. And it looks as if you did make a decision and you were finally able to see what was going on. You weren't blind to it anymore. We can come back to those if it's relevant. Oh, this cat will do anything. Okay, coming to what crowns you. This is the best possible outcome, something you're striving for. Two of Cups reversed. So you're wanting to leave some kind of a union. This also, as advice, is telling you you need to work on all of your relationships. So this is familial, romantic, spiritual, okay? Because there's a lack of balance. We do also have the Hierophant in here, so this is also saying just don't be a slave to somebody who's like your ultimate lover that you've been with. Also with the Death card, I see the end of a friendship or the end of a truce. And just like the end of a relationship. And remember, ooh, yeah, okay. So with Two of Swords, you're supposed to have a truce to talk with people and get things out in the open. To kind of like get at the truth. And it was in reverse. So that makes me think that truce over. Like maybe you had the truce, but it's over now. And this is the end of a truce, especially with the Death card. We have twos there, two twos. And High Priestess is a two, so you definitely do have a decision to make. It could also be the end of a marriage because we have Death as well. But when I have twos, I like to pull on either side, and we had Seven of Wands, standing your ground. So again, that was probably something you're trying to decide, do I stand ground, be defensive, hold on to an idea, a spiritual idea I have, hold on to my relationship. Do I just need to be adaptable to, all this possible competition that I might have, this challenge. I also see that you just yet to decide on any action in the near future. I thought you had decided on something, but it would just still be very deep indecision. But standing your ground just means that you haven't really made a decision yet, and you're kind of being stubborn about it. You're also afraid to be hurt, and you have to be adaptable. You're fantasizing about giving up, but it says, to keep going. You're almost there. Because you do have an advantage. You are like the king of the hill. And anything that you do is going to give you that advantage because of something you've done in the past. Also, this talks about any females who this reading is for. You're going to get your wish. And because you have the Hierophant in here, you're going to get married. This is well, a proposal, I should say. Or it just talks about a marriage proposal. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. There'd be the turning down of a marriage proposal. On the other side of the Two of Cups, we have Four of Swords, which you also have in your reading. Four of Swords is rest and rejuvenation. This is spiritual healing. But I also see this as being single. Okay, this is solitude. This is being vigilant, retreating, not necessarily hiding. But with death, I see changing lifestyles. So going from being married to single, being very religious to non-religious. But this is you needing peace. This is you needing quiet. And so you're deciding, do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay and defend myself? Or do I just go and forget about it and go meditate? This is not a very balanced card because you have 6 against 1. And then here, 4 is about stability. This is talking about restoring balance, possibly through spiritual means. And that's what you're striving for. That's your best possible outcome. Our cat's meowing. He couldn't leave me alone. He's very clingy right now. Just with the High Priestess and the Hierophant later, there is some kind of a deep secrecy or deep faith going on. And I remember Pisces, yours was about some secrets previously, also about somebody passing an inheritance possibly. But please don't email me and say, what about inheritance? Because I couldn't tell you, okay? And then again with Four of Swords, I see the need to meditate or think on something. Meditation is just praying in your brain, okay? So perhaps that's something you need to do. Good, pray out loud, whatever you need to do. And then I see whoever this person is from the past. I mean, it could be anybody from the past, but I get a feeling that for some of you, this is a dead person. You could be getting lots of communication from somebody who's dead, for those of you who have that ability. But you know, Eight of Wands is reversed, so it'd be that you have a block and you can't get information from somebody who's passed. But with the High Priestess and Judgment, I see that you're going to be in charge of some information or some kind of communication with somebody from the past. You will be in charge of this. And it could be because they've died, and so they can't speak their piece. It could be that you're in charge of somebody's will. And also just, I see lots of awakening and rebirth as far as revelations go. Maybe you get a revelation. We do have the Hierophant as well, which is wisdom. So it could just be a revelation. It doesn't even have to be spiritual. Also, I see the final cleansing of some kind of a relationship, like putting something to bed, burying it. Like, it could be burying the hatchet, burying the axe, whatever you want to call it. It looks like there's an end to a truce. So maybe that's what you want to do, but it's just not happening. This is just kind of funny. So don't take it to heart. But you know, if you've murdered somebody, like you might bury them, but it's going to come out. But you're going to have to let go of it and just kind of face what you've done. Okay? I don't know anybody who's murdered anybody, but that's something I see in here. And it's just kind of a little odd, so it's funny at the same time. Some of you may just be when you lost somebody, it hurt a lot, and you feel like you can't get in touch with them anymore, so you're really trying to get some spiritual knowledge about the afterlife. Because in your immediate future, Four of Swords. So you have Four of Swords on top of Four of Swords. Which, if you add those up, it's 8 of Swords, so you're feeling trapped by something. And 4 of Swords is the need to find peace because you have so much chaos going on. But then I also see you just being alone and single, especially with Nine of Pentacles. And that would be your change of lifestyle. Some of you be going into like the priesthood or a nunnery. Because I could definitely see the High Priestess as a nun. I could see the Magician, as well as the Hierophant, being a priest. Because I see no longer having passion, being reborn, no longer invested, leaving the traditional family, becoming single, more of like a spiritual kind of person, like a magician kind of a thing. Also just having an awareness about something, more spiritual awareness. And then Four of Swords being a monk, you know. So that could be for some of you. And that could be why you're ending relationships. Like you can't be married when you're this way, or you can't do whatever, or you're just forsaking the idea of marriage and traditional family for this cause. Okay, you. This is describing you as also as your advice, magician. So the magician person is going in the right direction. They're in charge. Okay, and you just have to believe that with God, anything is possible. And you just you're realizing your potential. For those of you who are looking for a soulmate, this tells me you're about to meet the one. And this is just being very happy, accepting responsibility for something, okay, if you need to. And you're just trying to work on your best self. And you're just giving everything to God. Some of you be getting the gift of prophecy, talking about receiving messages and whatnot, spirituality. And you're trying to balance your will, like with the active and the passive. Sometimes this is God, okay? I'm not saying you are God. I'm just saying that you're trying to get closer to God. You're going to be more at ease. And we do have like the rebirth of something and something else that needs to be buried. Like your past, for instance. I mean, some of you just could become a Christian. I could see that. Just burying the past and being reborn. And again, I could see deciphering life and death. The seen and the unseen. But this is just like the beginning of all the beginnings. And you have like infinity. So it's going on forever. There's no end. With the High Priestess, I see that you're initiating this if you're the man. If you're a woman, you're keeping a man from doing harm to somebody. Also, just you're winning without any kind of effort, or you will be. I also see being submissive to something higher than yourself, which could be religion. Like the High Priestess could be a submissive person, and the Magician could be the dominant person. With Two of Cups, this could be the end of a romantic spark. Two of Cups is reversed. But, if it's the beginning of beginnings and it's upright, maybe an old spark dies and a new spark is born, whether it's in a relationship or religion, or just spiritually, I should say. I'll go ahead and talk about Two of Pentacles, which you have in your outcome, because you have Magician twice, so it's got to be relevant. It talks about somebody helps you decide about juggling, because Two of Pentacles and Magician both have the infinity symbol. So somebody helps you decide, or you just get more confidence and self-esteem and you decide. You no longer have to juggle anything anymore. And I also see written messages coming in. Or they're not coming in, but you want them to come in. Perhaps you need to write a letter to someone. But your advice is, take action, be confident. You can do whatever it is you need to do. But if you don't make a decision, you won't be able to manifest what you want. And this is saying you have to take action. You have to manifest. And I think a lot of it has to do with letting go of the past, because it's also a letting go card. And it may be something having to do with romance or friends or family. Just any kind of relationship, I should say. That would make more sense. And I think you're also like possibly famous. And I say that with caution. Because like with Judgment, something coming out, and then being seen, you might just be really well known in your particular profession, such as like in the spiritual area, whether it's in religion or with psychic abilities. You may just be kind of known for that, or you may be visible to the public. I guess that could even be me if you think about it, because I'm visible to the public. All right, but your environment and the people around you are Ace of Cups reversed. So this is to me, this is always like grace and spirituality. So currently, you're not having that spiritual growth that you need. And it's just blocking you. It's keeping you from moving on and growing. And I almost feel like there's a lack of grace at this point in time. And perhaps you're going to study religiously or spiritually and try to grow to kind of just figure out what grace is and how to get it, type of a thing. But perhaps I see just like a change or a mutation. So it could be a little bit negative. For some of you, like a relationship is ending, or you just don't have an offer of love. Some may have a false heart. And I do think it's you. You're no longer invested. And it's causing you some frustration. And you're like, well, I need to find love or support in other ways, like spiritually, for instance. It could be that a relationship ended because somebody died. Because, Four of Swords is a lot like a wake. Okay, and so you're trying to find that fulfillment that that relationship brought you, trying to find it through church, for instance. And with the Death card being so close to it, you're not motivated. Again, like there's just like this lack of investment. It's not your priority to grow spiritually. You could be just very depressed. Could even have some kind of a alcohol addiction because of depression. And you're just not on the right path currently in your current environment. And I don't think the people around you are either. And if you're in a relationship, there's just no romance. If you're single, there's no romance, obviously. There's no joy. And I also see like a lack of grace, a lack of compassion. All right, so let's go into your hopes and fears. Knight of Wands reversed. So this is about not moving. This is also somebody who doesn't commit. The first sign of commitment, they're just out of here, okay? They don't want anything to do with anything that's going to hold them back. So you could say this is like just as a word, this is temporary, unfulfilling. I pulled another card for clarification. We got Six of Wands. And to me, Six of Wands is always about success and triumph and like hope and expectation. And it's upright, which is really good. And so your hopes are that things are going to turn out better than you're expecting, because it's like an expectation card. I also see with the High Priestess, a successful woman. So maybe looking for a successful woman, women be wanting to be successful. It just depends on who's reading it, okay? You could also be about to enter a relationship with a dream lover, but we had that card earlier that said, don't be careful not to become a slave to this person. And you're afraid that things aren't looking up for your relationship. You want them to be, but you're afraid they're not. And I think you're afraid something's going to take longer than you expect it to. You're also afraid that about like a defeat, like some kind of non-commitment. Somebody's going to defeat you, or going to leave you defeated. Like you may get cheated. Bad investment. You're afraid of that. Let's go to your outcome. We have Two of Pentacles reversed. So messages and news coming about obstacles. So maybe you do get a message, but it's just bad news. Like something's coming to light and you don't want it to come out. Something about the past. Could be just bad news. Somebody passed. Okay, this is going from life to the afterlife. That sucks, guys. Why do you guys keep getting these cards where somebody has died or is about to die, or there's an inheritance, or goodness. And this is always you guys for the last few months. Can we have something different, please? I think you're also having to choose between yourself and love, about being married or not being married. It could be because you're going into like a seminary kind of a thing, or you're trying to decide whether or not to end the marriage, because Two of Pentacles clarified by Death reversed. So whether or not to invest in your marriage and like try to resurrect it from the dead, because this is resurrect something from the dead, resurrect something from the past. So you're juggling something and you can't keep it up. And so this says, you need to make a decision to end this. It could be an on-off again relationship. It could be this one-night stand person. You really want it to work. You want them to be the one, but they're not. For some of you. Obviously, this is not for everybody because we have like 3 different things in here. Come on, cat. He's falling between legs and mounting at me like I'm doing something wrong. I just see the exchange of some kind of letter. Could be emails. Could even be handwritten. Who knows? But this relationship, whatever it is going nowhere. You make a definite decision to end a pattern. Also, don't overspend because we have a few losing money cards here. Come on. Stop following. I'm trying to do jobs. Well, not really a job, but I like to do it. And I just see you're not happy. Any kind of happiness you have is forced. And it looks like you choose to divorce or not get married because we have Two of Cups reversed. And then we have Death trying to resurrect something. Death reversed also talks about stagnation, like being depressed, holding on. Your grief is blocked. You're not recovering. We have a lot of non-recovering cards here. And to me, with High Priestess, this is a secret coming out. It's like you're trying to juggle it. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And on the other side of the Two of Pentacles, we have the Hierophant. Okay, that's a Taurus and Scorpio. Perhaps you're juggling two people. Who knows? Now, when I see the Hierophant and I'm thinking about your Death and the High Priestess say that a secret's coming out, it's as if this secret's being revealed to a group. You may come out to people and say, yeah, I'm going to be a priest. I'm going to be a nun. Could be that, yes, I'm getting divorced. Something that's coming out, and it's almost as if you don't want it to come out, though, because it's something from the past. But it's coming. Because we have lots of cards where the sun's in the background. That's something coming to light, as well as the Judgment card. I see you there. Some of you just could be, because with the Hierophant and Death together, you didn't pay your taxes. And maybe you're in a church group and you didn't pay some kind of a tax that churches have to pay, even though I'm pretty sure they get some kind of a waiver of some sort. But again, with Hierophant and Death in the Pentacles, I see an inheritance, and it looks like it's not coming. It could be just something you inherited, some kind of information that came out to a group, like with the reading of a will, because he does have a book, and so does the High Priestess usually. So information came out at the reading of the will, and it's just kind of left you in turmoil. It could be a secret of something you've done, or just a secret about your identity, and you're just gonna have to let it go. You don't resurrect anything. It's not happening. You're not gonna grow in that way. I hear you. And it could just be about some politics. Maybe people don't want you to go into the seminary. Maybe people don't want you to believe a certain religion. So I see some politics here with the Hierophant and Judgment, for instance. Because the major arcana are the things you can't control. These are things that are happening, okay? So they all go together. And it could be the politics about how a will is dispersed. And if you've discovered you're not part of a family, well then, you lose an inheritance. You don't get it. Also, it could be like, you don't get your just due. Like, you expect everything. Everybody expects death and taxes, right? Those are things that always happen. And here, somebody's died. But the other thing you were expecting, like the payout, for instance, that's something that you were going to inherit. Well, you expected it, but you didn't get it. And don't fight to get a will or an inheritance. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to leave it, drop it. And it's due to some kind of revelation. And I would like for you guys to tell me what's going on here, because I see a few different scenarios that I've been talking about. I'd like to know what the secrets are, if you're going into seminary, whatever it might be. I think that's very interesting. Let's get an action step for you guys, because it seems like the same stuff's happening. And I'd like to give you an action step to take you into the future. Maybe you need to buy a cat. Come here. I know, it's so mean. Yeah, taking you away from the cards. Okay, so what is something that Pisceans can do to have a good outcome for the month of 18? What can Pisceans do to have a good outcome for the month of 18? Okay, Three of Wands. This talks about partnerships, joining a group. So again, could be joining a religious group. Could be trying to rejoin the family. And also see just waiting for your ships to come in. But it's also close to Two of Wands, which is a waiting game. Okay. It also talks about moving forward. Three of Wands, moving forward to your true calling. And three also can talk about the Trinity. And also with Four of Swords, I see kind of like dying to yourself, dying to your own opinions and beliefs with the Ace of Swords, and picking up three, which would be also like a Trinity. Leaving self and focusing on a Trinity. Also, I could see just your identity, yourself died, and you have Three of Swords, which is some kind of a hurt, betrayal, stormy emotions. But you guys came to a stalemate at some point, and it has to do with some kind of a partnership, even like a mom and pop business. I think we did talk about a family business that somebody you're just not a part of. But you may want to be a part of the family, just not the business. And an action step could be to join an alliance. It could be, yeah, I'd like to join the business if you let me. or I like to be a part of the family, even if I can't be a part of the business. That'd be something that comes out. Okay, okay, we have Two of Wands, which is the waiting game. It popped out. So again, these are very similar. Move forward into your true calling. Don't let the past hinder you. With the High Priestess, I see you kind of know what's going to happen ahead of time. You see how things are coming to an head. And even if you crash, you're going to be secure. And again, I see you're going to be shorted money. Because we have 7 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. And then 9 of Pentacles, even though it's usually self-sufficiency, combined with death, it's the end of luxury. Okay? So I see somebody shorting you your money. It could be about an investor. So you have an astute investor and they short you. And also I just see waiting to invest in something because you don't really know what to pick. And then there's some secret plans going on. And we do have lots of secrecy here. Maybe your secret plans involve illegal. Okay. Let's get 2 cards for Two of Wands. That just popped out. Because anytime there's 2, I like to pull 2 cards. Okay. Oh, 2. 2 came out. Alright. The Empress, 3. And then 5 of Swords, conflict and defeat. We have some 3s going on here. Alright, so with the Empress, that's your fertility. It means something new being born. Also, I see your identity being balanced and taking action. Something will come to fruition. That's what you're waiting on. You're waiting on a rebirth. Like we have rebirth and then birth. And then you have 5 of Swords. Okay. So it talks about a conflict. Could be familial. And some kind of, almost like a violent type of a conflict. And it's not in reverse, so it's still going on. But just being defeated and then being reborn. I can see depression and joy. Very interesting. Could be just the birth of a project, birth of a business, birth of an idea. And it's like your 2 choices are just to be defeated, keep having the conflict and not winning, and then coming together and creating something new. Very interesting here. I like this. So it looks like some of your action steps are just to wait. Like maybe get some kind of an alliance and then wait. Wait for something to be born or wait to be defeated. I mean, I can't tell you which one is the outcome. But I mean, obviously you want the positive one. So do what you can to make it more positive. And with the Hierophant and the 5 of Swords, I see like some kind of an organized defeat, an abuse of power, or just somebody who's a poor leader. That'd be what's led you to some kind of an option that you're waiting on. I mean, maybe some of you out there who already are in the seminary, and you're getting a lot of flack because you have certain beliefs that don't mesh. And it's more about like psychic abilities, maybe life after death. There's some kind of belief you have that other people aren't agreeing with. And it's some kind of organized defeat. Like maybe you get voted out, or you're trying to leave and be reborn because you're not accepted where you are. Like this could be the church family, for instance. But this card popped out, and I'll take this as your last one. 8 of Pentacles, and it talks about moving forward because it leads to positivity. I also see you sailing into the sun alone. Okay, so this is leaving a place, leaving a person, and moving into the sun. It could be, accepting your true self. We have lots of suns in here. Something came to light, and you have to accept your true self and move on from where you're not accepted. And that's in any relationship here. And remember, some of your advice is to work on all your relationships. And sometimes you can't bury the hatchet. You just have to move on without this person. Leave dead people behind. Have the Hermit. So again, I didn't mean to look at that, but that solitude, that reflection, spirituality again. You're trying to assess love, especially with the 7 of Pentacles. You need to assess love. you need to assess a union or a reunion. And there's some kind of a communication. I think it's going to be written, but electronic, like some kind of telecommunications, because this with the Eight of Wands is telecommunications. And then Two of Pentacles talks about communication as well. But with the Eight of Wands in reverse, it could be not telecommunications. It could actually be a letter. It could be some kind of an end of a contract kind of a letter. And then the Hermit is just asking you to have that that deeper knowledge, that secret. That's what it's referring to. I'm not pulling that out. Oh, crap. Okay, I guess I have to pull it out because I saw it. Six of Swords, moving on. Yeah, we have two moving on cards. So you're definitely moving on. Like the Hermit is somebody who got that spiritual knowledge. They had some kind of a relation, and then they're coming out of solitude. So yeah, I think you're going to go into solitude for a little while. Like you're going to go off on your own, but then you're going to come out. You're not going to be going back, I don't believe. Like you have to bury that. It's not coming back. And then you have to see with Eight of Pentacles, learning and studying at a new organization, leaving a place where you're learning and going somewhere else. It could be about like a belief, religion, or just a teacher. Like maybe the teacher's really bad. Perhaps you're the teacher and people don't like what you're teaching. Because with Seven of Wands, I see you being a teacher, and you're possibly a religious teacher. And with the Knight of Wands reversed, you're afraid you're not a light to others. But your hopes are that you can sound your trumpet. You can be that light for others, especially with that sun here. I almost see like a shofar, which is like the Hebrew ram's horn. You really hope to be a really good religious leader, but you're afraid you're not. And you're moving on from some kind of a situation that wasn't good for you. Okay. All right. Ooh, got a little bit of chills there. So, Pisces, I hope you enjoyed your reading. It looks like we got a little bit more out there than just death and inheritance. I see, like with a lack of inheritance for you religious people, I see that as possible like excommunication. So some of you who may be considered a bad teacher to some religious organizations, you'd be excommunicated, but you're really going to take it as a means of moving on positively. You're just going to bury the hatchet, let it go, and move on. And it's going to be better for you because you've had some kind of an insight that other people just aren't ready for. Okay, you're kind of ahead of your time in that regard. And if your beliefs don't, whatever organization you belong to, well then you don't belong, so you should find some place where you do belong. Okay, so I do see overall this is more about those religious people, but it does apply to families and romantic relationships as well. And take from it what you can. All right, bye Pisceans, have a good day.